So today we're going to start talking about inequalities. And inequality has less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to symbols instead of an equation. So an equation has an equal sign. Inequality has one of these four. You solve them exactly the same way. The only difference is what the answer represents. So we're going to talk a little bit about this in a little bit. We're going to start with example 1 and kind of get the hang of what an inequality is before we actually start graphing and solving them. So this first set of problems, we are checking to see if all of these numbers are solutions. So an equation has one solution. X equals 5, x equals -10, whatever it is, there's one number that works. An inequality has more than one answer. So once you find one that works, that doesn't mean that the other ones don't. You need to check all three of these. So this is not multiple choice. It's does this one work, does this one work, does this one work? So it's yes or no on each of them. So on number 1, we're plugging in 1 for x. So is 1 greater than -2? Yes, it is. So 1 is a solution. So just put yes. Now we're checking -5. So is -5 greater than -2? If you're not careful, the negatives might confuse you some. So -5 is smaller than -2. So this is a no. So make sure you think a little bit harder about those negatives. 0, is that greater than 2? -2, yes. So 0 is a solution. Number 2, this time it is flipped around backwards, but the idea is the same exact thing. So is 6 less than or equal to -9? So no, that is not a solution. B is 6, so is 6 less than or equal to 6? So this is where maybe this symbol is confusing to you. So this part means it's less than. 6 is not less than 6, but this part means equal to. Is 6 equal to 6? Yes. So if it has that symbol and it's the same exact number, then it is a solution. And then the last one, we're checking 1. So is 6 less than or equal to 1? No. Okay, number 3, same idea, but this time we'll have to do a little bit more work. So we're plugging in 2 for x, and then we're going to simplify each side and see if it's true or not. So 6 times 2 is 12. 12 minus 3 is 9. So is 9 greater than or equal to 9? Yes. Then -3, plug in that for x, and then we'll simplify and see if it's true. So this is -18 minus 3, so -21, greater than or equal to 9. That one is not true. And then the last one, plug in 7, so 6 times 7 minus 3, is that greater than or equal to 9? So 42 minus 3 is 39, and that is greater than 9, so that one is a solution. So example 2, now we're going to start graphing, and that's when this box at the top comes in handy. So you probably did this in middle school. You may have forgotten since then, so it would be good to write this down if you didn't print the notes. So less than or greater than is an open circle when you graph it. It shows that this number is not included. If it's less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, it's a filled in circle, so a dot. So you might want to underline. This is when you'll know it's a dot. If it's not equal to, it's an open circle. So we're going to practice graphing before we solve anything. So number 1 says to graph C is greater than -2. So you draw a number line. Whatever number we're graphing, put that in the middle, and then put one bigger and one smaller. So 1 bigger than -2 is -1. 1 smaller is -3. So first you have to decide, is this a circle or a dot? So back up at the top. If it is a greater than symbol, which it is on number 1, it's an open circle. So we're going to put an open circle on -2. We're not filling it in because it's just greater than. And then figure out which direction is greater than -2. So is -1 greater or is -3? -1 is, so you're going to point the arrow that direction. You can color in the number line however you want to show. This shows which side is the solution of this problem. So if you wanted to check it, -1, if we plug that in here, that should be a true statement. -1 is greater than -2, so that is the solution. Same thing on 2, draw a number line, 7 goes in the middle, do one bigger, one smaller, and this time it says x is greater than or equal to 7. So because this equal to is on there, it's going to be a dot, so it's filled in, because that shows that 7 is also a solution. And then when this is written backwards like this, it might be kind of hard to figure out which direction you're going to go. So always read from the x over. So x is greater than or equal to, because the big side is towards the x, 7. So which side is greater than 7? Would be the 8. So the solutions are at 7, 8, all the way up. So again, if you plug it in, you can double check it. Is that statement true? 7 is less than or equal to 7? Yes. That's why that has a dot on it, because it is a solution. 8 should also work because that's where the arrow is facing. So is 7 less than or equal to 8? Yes. Everything else this direction would be a solution. That's what our graph is showing. Number 3, last one together. So 1 in the middle, then 2, and 0. So a circle on the 1, and then D is less than 1, so it goes towards the 0 because 0 is less. So now if my sub will pause the video so that you can try these next few on your own, and then after a few minutes hit play and see if you got them right. So number 4, hopefully you had time to complete these on your own. If not, just do them with me. So 3 goes in the middle, 1 bigger, 1 smaller. This one will be a circle because it does not have the equal to sign underneath. And then x is greater than 3, so it goes towards the 4. Number 5, number line, 4 in the middle, 1 bigger, 1 smaller. This is the dot because it has the equal to. And then m is greater than 4, so it goes towards the 5. And then last one, -5 in the middle, 1 bigger, 1 smaller. This one is the dot on the -5 because it's equal to. And then a is less than, so it goes towards the -6. Now we're going to go backwards. So it's going to give us a number line, and we have to write the inequality that matches it. So the very first thing I would do is just put x, and then whatever number the circle or dot is on. And then the only thing you have to figure out is the symbol. So first, is it an open or closed circle? So because this one is open, it's not going to have the equal to on it. It's just going to be less than or greater than. So then it shows going smaller than 3, which means x is less than 3. Number 2, again, put x and then the number. So this one is bigger than 2, which means it's greater. And then because this is filled in, it is also equal to. And then last one together, x and -1. So it's going smaller than -1, which means it's less than. And it is filled in, so it also has equal to on it. Okay, go ahead and pause this and try these 4 on your own. So number 4 has x and -4. It's less than and does not have the equal to sign because this is not filled in. Number 5, x and 5. It's less than because it gets smaller and it's filled in, so it's also equal to. Number 6, this is between 0 and 1, so that would be at 0.5 or 1/2, whichever one you prefer. It is getting bigger, so it's greater than, and it's an open circle, so it does not have the equals to. And then last one, x and -1, gets bigger, so it's greater than x, and then it's filled in, so it's equal to. Okay, the next example. Example 4, so now we're going to be solving them and also graphing. So hopefully you have gotten some practice with solving equations now, because these are exactly the same thing. The only extra part is that we're going to graph them as well. So after we solve it, we're going to graph. So I'm only going to do a few of these because these should be fairly easy for you. They're only one-step problems. So we're going to add the 3 to get y by itself. So y is less than 9. So there's part of your answer, and then you're also going to graph it like we were just doing. So 9 goes in the middle, 10, and 8. This will be an open circle because it's just less than, not equal to, and less than would be the 8, so it goes this direction. So you need to have this answer and then also the graph. Number 2, to get h by itself, we need to subtract the 9. So this is h is greater than or equal to negative 14. And then graph it. So you've got negative 14 in the middle, one bigger, one smaller. So this one will have a dot on negative 14 because it's got the equal to here. And then h is greater, so it goes towards the negative 13. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move on to multiplication and division. So the tricky part about inequalities when you multiply and divide is if the number attached to the variable is negative, then you have to flip the sign. So this is going to, if you mess this part up, you're going to get the wrong answer and also have the wrong graph. So it's very important, if you did not print this, you need to write it down. If the number attached to the variable is negative, then you need to flip the sign. So we're going to practice multiplying and dividing. Some of these will have to flip, some of them we're not going to. So on number 1, to get x by itself, you have to divide by 3. Now since that's not a negative, the sign doesn't change at all. It just stays the same. So there's the answer for 1, and then we're going to graph. So 7 in the middle, one bigger, one smaller. So it's an open circle on 7. Now these are tricky. Since it's backwards, x is less than 7, so it goes towards the 6 because it's less than 7. Number 2. So to get x by itself, you multiply 5 times 2, which is 10. I'm not flipping the sign because there's no negative there. So it's just x is greater than or equal to 10. Number line has 10, 11, and then 9. So we get a dot on 10 because it's got the equal to. X is greater than, so that goes towards the 11. Okay, number 3. So here's one with a negative. So because the number that's attached to the variable is negative, not this one, because this one's negative, this time the sign will flip. So it's x is less than or equal to, so I flip that around, negative 8. And then when you draw your number line, make sure you're looking at this sign, not from the original problem. Since we switched it, it'll change your graph. So one bigger, one smaller. This is a dot because it has the equal to. And then x is less than after we flipped it, so it needs to go towards the negative 9.